come. Let earth receive their King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. Joy to the end, the Savior reigns. Let all just songs employ, while fields and floods, rocks, hills and plains, we be the sound and joy, we be the sound and joy, we be the sound and joy. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive their King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. To the end, the Savior reigns. Let all just songs employ, while fields and floods, walks, hills and plains, we be the sound and joy, we be the sound and joy, we be the sound and joy.
Welcome. And I told the ladies that the song that they are singing is a boring Christmas carol, isn't it? So they're going to give you a better one, the Little Drummer Boy. I don't know whether they can do it, but it's their job. They don't do it, they don't get paid. They have to say something, sing a song that the viewers would like. Good evening and welcome to the show. Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year to you. This is Good Evening Ghana, your ultimate political conversation program. Here on Good Evening Ghana, the oldest, the longest, and truly, really the best. Our pianist is in the studio helping us to fix it. But it's important also to start on a very low note. And we did start on the tributes we rendered to Dr. Boche. I have text messages coming in to me from many people. We are gratified that Professor Ransford Jampo thinks very highly of our documentary that we just showed, maybe for the upteenth time on this show since our father and brother and former Minister of Finance passed, Dr. Kwesi Boche. May he rest in eternal peace. Tonight we have quite a lot to do and quite a lot to show, isn't it? Now this hamper in front of me, I hope they can get it. They should get it. This hamper in front of me. Should I lift it up a little bit? Okay, you can't see everything. Now this hamper, yeah, correct. You can see it now. This hamper is a fully Ghana made, made in Ghana products. So there's honey wine, there's Percocet, there's tea made in Ghana tea, and there's everything. Maybe later on I'll rip it apart and then we can look at it. The other hamper on my table is done by a company that I will talk to you about. They can do it for you if you want. It's on the table, the other table. Can you show me the other hamper on the other table? And then I can the other table hamper. Okay, are they going to get it? Yeah, they might get it. So they are working on. Yeah, there it is. There it is. Fantastic. Okay, so there you have it. Keep it there. Keep it there. So that hamper with the red button, you can actually call luxury_giftings. You can write it down. Luxury_giftings. And you get them on Instagram, and they have put this together for us so beautifully. They have the teddy bear there, the beautiful Fort Mason basket, and all of that. So that's Christmas. That's really for Christmas. Give me a shot of the social media table. So what are they talking about? They are whispering. Are they getting ready for Little Drummer Boy? You have to get ready for that, shouldn't you? Okay, let's get back to the State House Banquet Hall earlier today, and let's see some of the videos from the burial service of Dr. Botwe. Tonight, we have quite a bit to say in politics and also in international relations relating to Nigeria. Now, this is President John Dramani Mahama in there, Professor Michael Okoye, former Speaker of Parliament, Madam Fremont Opare, Chief of Staff, President Akufo-Addo, H.E. Alhaji Mahamadou Bawumia, Mohammed Ibn Chambers, H.E.T. Mensah, Yao Safo Mafo, Dr. Educhum, Minister for Education, Jenana Opoku-Agyeman with Kofi Totobi Kwache. This is a heavy laden NDC representation. John Dramani Mahama, Johnson Asedu Katia, Kofi Totobi Kwache, Fritz Bafo, and this is my friend. He just went off the screen. He's the eternal demonstrator, Bernard Mona. Dr. Kwesi Botwe, rest in eternal peace. These are some of the mourners present. Kwesi Botwe's wife, Wendy Bannerman, passed in a little short. Of course, the Odadias were there, all students of Presec who were there to make it happen. And here are some of the mourners. That must be Dr. Botwe's wife, Wendy Bannerman, with her mother. And they went in to pay their respects to President Akufo-Addo and thank him for coming. These are the naval pallbearers carrying the casket of Dr. Kwesi Botwe. It's heading for eternal rest. A state function, state funeral was this morning delivered on his behalf, attended by President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, also former President John Dramani Mahama, leaders of the National Democratic Congress, senior ministers of state, members of parliament, members of the Council of State, former ministers, former members of parliament. All of them were at the State House this morning to offer their eternal respect to Dr. Kwesi Botwe. These are videos captured by Metro TV cameras earlier today at the State House Banquet Hall. 6 naval pallbearers handing and delivering the casket into the vehicle that will be conveying the body of Dr. Botwe to the cemetery. So that's what happened this morning. And that was, so may Dr. Botwe rest in eternal peace. Sorry, our table is a bit clustered today because we are doing Christmas giftings and Christmas celebration. We have quite a bit to discuss on the touch screen and all of that. But we will take our second break now. When we come back, we are beginning our political conversation. It's 2 days to Christmas, and we will tell you a few things about Christmas as well. Maybe we'll get you to open the phone lines and tell us what you think about Christmas. We advertised that, and I saw people like it. I read the comments underneath it. We will be doing that after the commercial break. We come straight to the touch screen and talk about Fifi Kwete. We'll be right back.
The world has gathered for football's greatest showpiece, and Betway is giving you the chance to win on the cup in Qatar. Score free entries to win a share of 3 million Ghana cedis across the tournament. Enter our daily draws to win a guaranteed 30,000 Ghana cedis every match day. From the group stages to the final, it's a full month of incredible action. Only at betway.com.gh. Terms and conditions apply. Regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana.
Can they put it on the TV as well? I didn't realize that I was back on air. Okay, pianist, hold it there. Now, so let's start our conversations tonight. Sorry, it's Christmas programming, so it's a bit all over the place. Ken Ofori-Atta today achieved another feat. Something good is happening to the guy. After getting the severest battering from his own members of parliament, from general public, from economic hardships, from the free fall of the CD, etc., etc. It looks like Mr. Ofori-Atta is coming round his own. This morning and this afternoon, we were told that organized labor was going to begin a strike action on the 27th of December. That's what we're told, isn't it? That's what we're told. Okay. So at the close of day, however, that strike is no longer going to happen. Why is it not going to happen? Let me take you to the touch screen. So this is a statement issued by the Ministry of Finance. It said the government of Ghana and organized labor associations shall, however, work together to explore mutual beneficial options within debt sustainability limits and to also promote macroeconomic stability and economic recovery in the spirit of social partnership. Now, Ofori-Atta was speaking after government and organized labor had come to a conclusion on what to do with labor pensions. So the conversation is that labor organizations had been told that government was doing this suspending interest payments for 2023. That was captured in the budget, actually. Now, labor was concerned that their pensions should not be allowed to participate in the debt swap analysis. You know, government is swapping debt. That is to say, if government owes you, you go in and you take a new kind of debt. That arrangement would mean that in 2023 you don't get anything. That's what Mr. Ofori-Atta proposed as a sustainable way for Ghana to be able to go through the current economic difficulties and secure an IMF program also for the future. Now, organized labor was concerned that their pensions should not be used. And so they said that if their pensions were to be part of this, then they will go on an indefinite strike action starting from 27. Let's see the statement. There's a statement. Can you please give me the statement quickly so we can read the statement? It's tiny. Okay, I'll read it anyway. All right. It says that following meetings held at the Ministry of Finance in December 2022, between Government of Ghana, represented by Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations, Ministry of Finance and Ministry of National Security on the one hand, and organized labor associations represented by leadership of all labor unions and associations on the other hand, to resolve issues on the exemption of all pension funds in Domestic Debt Exchange (DDE) program announced by government on 5th December 2022. Government has decided to grant exemption to all pensions in the DDE program, and 2, Government of Ghana and organized labor associations shall, however, work together to explore mutually beneficial options within debt sustainability limits and etc. etc. It's signed by Ignatius Bafo-Ewuah, Ken Ofori-Atta, and Dr. Anthony Yao-Ba, who is the Secretary General Trade Unions Congress. So with this kind of resolution, what it means is that the organized labor will no longer put the strike out, and hopefully something good will happen. So I'd like to congratulate the government and labor for that. But you see, this is what happens. This is how, you know, governments work. And producer, if you can get me Alhaji Muhammadu Bawumia's photograph, let me put it out. Let me do an illustration with it. How does government work? Government works to achieve results. So when a government comes into power for 4 years or 8 years or 12 years or 16 years or whatever, when the government is talking about what it has achieved, we need to hear some innovation, some novelty. What is it that wasn't available that is now available? What kind of program model that was not available before the government was elected that is now available. That's a responsible government, I think. I mean, you can challenge it if you want, and you can send a text to challenge it, but this is my firm position, that when a government has done something that didn't used to be, and what am I talking about? I'm talking about the announcement that the government of Ghana, through the Bank of Ghana, is able to buy 26 million ounces of gold from a gold producer for the purpose of gold for oil swap. This evening, Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia, the Vice President, is announcing that at the end of January, Ghana government is going to take custody of the first consignment of petroleum products that we are buying with gold, or that we are securing. That's the better financial language. We are securing the oil products with gold. This was not there. This was not part of our conversation. We had never thought about this. Now a government comes and is doing this. That's the government you elect. It's not a government that comes to repeat what somebody was doing. I've done road, hospital, road. No. That's fine. Citizens demand that. It is the right of citizens that you do a road. It is their right. It's inalienable, really, that you do a road, that you keep the citizens in, as the Bible says, the 3 basic things: food, shelter, and clothing. So that's okay. But when a government sees a crisis, that our city is collapsing, it's collapsing because we are looking for a lot of dollars with our city to buy petroleum products. Because whether you like it or not, every society, every community today in the world lives and breathes petroleum products. The electricity in your house is petroleum product. Even the water in your house is pumped by electricity. So that's petroleum. The light is petroleum. Your movement is petroleum. So we all rely on petroleum. So for a government that is looking after 30 million people, you have to be clear on how you get your petroleum products. If you become government and you find that you are in a circus, because every time the calendar year turns to a certain period, you are required to change your cedis to take dollars, and then your cedis crashing. Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia thinks about this and says, can we do something else? What do we have? You remember that in the famous biblical story, God asked Moses, what do you have in your hand? And Moses said, I have a stick. That's all God needed. You have a stick? He said, put it on the ground. And Moses put it on the ground, and Moses started running away from the stick. And he said, hey, God, the stick has turned into a snake. He said, no, don't be afraid. Just hold it. It will become a stick again. So I'm sure, I wasn't there, but I'm sure he was, all of us. You can imagine yourself, you have a stick, and then you are talking to a God who you have met for the first time. And you're asking him, what is his name? And he's telling you his name is some name that you have never heard before. I am that I am that I am, something like that. Then you have confidence in him because he tells you about your life. And then he says, I am going to send you to release my people Israel. This is a story Moses had heard when he was growing up, that eventually the God of Israel, Jacob, Isaac, and Abraham, was going to send some Messiah to come and take them out of captivity. He had heard that story when he was growing up in the palace, that the Israelites believed, at the time he thought he was an Egyptian, he heard the story, that the Israelites believed that some God, and they used to laugh at that story. The palace people, the Egyptians, used to laugh at that story. Okay, let me not digress too long. I think I'm taking too long in bringing in Moses. But yes, so what do you have in your hand? He said, I have a stick. He said, put a stick on the ground. He put it on the ground, it became a stick, and he held it. And it became a stick again, and he said, God, who shall I do? He said, that is me with you. Because Moses told God that if you will not go to the palace with me, I will not go. He said, I shall be with you. How do I know you are with me? The stick. Okay, so Dr. Bawumia talked about, what do we have? We have gold, and we have so much gold that is becoming a threat to our own lives, because so many people around the world, so many Chinese people are looking for the gold, so they come into our country. We have porous borders, so they come into our country, they dig the gold, destroy our water, and all of that. And when we tell them that mine the gold responsibly, they don't listen to us. They just destroy it. And gold is money, so they're able to pay our officials, and then they get access to the gold, and they have access also to destroy the water. So Dr. Bawumia thought that this gold that is becoming almost like a negative to our livelihood, can we use it for something? He said, yes, let's do oil for gold. He sat his team together. You heard Osafo Maafo, by the way, 80 years old today, Nanaya Osafo Maafo, senior minister, happy birthday. I forgot to do a montage for him as I was rushing into the studio, but he celebrated today. He's celebrating also in his village, as officials have been told. So those of you can go to his village this weekend, I hear sometime. Osafo Maafo is 80 years, so he's older than the president. And we saw him the last time on television. He looked very well. Congratulations, Osafo Maafo. Okay, let me get back to Alhaji Bawumia's story. So Dr. Bawumia then finds out that this is gold. I can use it. I can use gold to do this, to help our currency. And today he has announced that 2 announcements. First of all, millions of ounces of gold has been bought by the Bank of Ghana from the gold market for the purpose of oil for gold. At the end of January, he's bringing in the first oil for the swap of gold. That's what you call government. Something that was not there, that is now there. Free SHS was not there. It is now there. The other people who are competing for presidency, they should tell us, what is it that was not there that they were able to make a part of our conversation after they left office? If they can find something, then we have a contest. But if you want to be leader, member of parliament for your constituency, and you are campaigning after you have been member of parliament for 4 years, you would have to tell the constituents something that was not there. That through your ingenuity, you have brought it. Through your thinking, you have brought it. Dr. Bawumia has a lot to say about that. Because when he was running for vice president, there was nothing like oil for gold, the gold for oil, though. Nothing like that. It was not there. He came into government, it was still not there. He was doing his government work, and then the crisis emerged. He confronted the crisis and said that I am in leadership position. Let me think. So he called people. 2 heads are always better than 1, as I can say. So he called people, they discussed it, and they came up with a plan. At least they had a plan. Even if it's not workable, they had a plan. Some people come into government and they leave, and you ask them what did they do. They cannot tell you that I did something that was not there. They can't say it. They have just come into government like you sit in Trotro from Labadi to Teshi. You sit down, you get down, and you go to your work. Every day you sit down in Trotro from Labadi to Teshi and get down. You know, that's what they do in government. They come into the government bus, they sit down, at the end of the day they are gone. That's it. So as young people who are listening to me, when you are electing people, you need to be clear that you are electing people who, if they have a track record in government, they can show you something that was not there that I did. Maybe campaign time will come, we can talk about it. But congratulations to Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia, and we wish him a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, isn't it? He's showing that the position of vice president is not just to be there, it is to create. And that's what he has done. And I like the responses I'm seeing on social media, even from people who are quite critical of the government these days. A+ and other people who are critical of the government are praising Dr. Bawumia for achieving this feat. Because any normal person, every average person, anyone who loves Ghana will be excited by a policy that gives us sustainability as a country. Because this is a policy that gives us sustainability. So we have a lot more to say about that. As I keep saying, it might be too early to do a full diagnostics of the economic situation and where we are and all of that. But over the weekend, we're going to be looking at a lot of documents, and we're going to thoroughly understand, once they can release those documents, the gold for oil swap, what it really means. But for now, it is all glory to Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia, the vice president who has achieved this. It's 3 minutes past the top of the hour, 10 o'clock. Now, I'll be going to the NDC story, isn't it? Fifi Kwete seems to be admitting that, yes, NDC didn't have results for the elections. And later on, we'll talk to Alhassan Bello about Nigeria. Now, though, let me go to my choir. Let them sing first, and then they'll read the text messages, and then we continue with the show. Thank you very much for your time. It's 4 minutes past the top of the hour at 10 o'clock.
Come, they told me, parapampa, a newborn king to see, parapampa. Our finest gift we bring, parapampa, to lay before the king, parapampa, rapapampa, rapapampa. So to honor him, parapampa, when we come, parapampa, 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 little baby, parapampa. I am a poor boy to parapampa. I have no gift to bring, parapampa. That's free to give or keep, parapampa, rapapampa, rapapampa. So to honor him, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam, when we come, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam, 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 little baby, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam. I am a poor boy to pa-ra-pa-pam-pam. I have no kid to ring, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam. Not sweet to keep walking, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam, ra-pa-pam-pam, ra-pa-pam-pam. So to honor him, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam, when we come, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam.
Hey, good evening and welcome to the show. I think maybe they didn't get the camera 2 bit. I wanted camera 2 to focus on this one so I can talk about it a little bit. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year just before I go to the touch screen. Can you put camera 2 on this, please? What name did I mention for the company? Yes. Giftings. Are they ready to put camera 2 on this? Okay, so I'll just showing you viewers this beautiful hamper, and I'm saying that you can get it from what did I say? Giftings. Luxury_giftings at Instagram. Luxury_giftings will give you. Let me pull it for you so you can see it. Okay, so you want to do something for somebody at Christmas. This one is going to it's from Good Evening Ghana to all of you at home. This is your hamper. You get here first, you can get it maybe. All right, so you know where we are. We are in Abekan La Paz. So you can come and then you get it. All right. Thank you very much. It's a Christmas edition, so it's still a bit of fun. Let's get into some serious politics. Now, today we are hearing and we're getting information about Fifi Kwete saying that the National Democratic Congress will now, since he's become General Secretary, will have results, and they will have collated results to be able to show it. And then I'm going to say something about President Mahama tonight. About this whole matter, this whole Asiedu Nketia says that we didn't have results and we went to court, and the media has been discussing it and including President Mahama in the matter. I'm going to make a suggestion tonight that I feel that perhaps President Mahama was not aware of it. I mean, I know him a little bit. I believe that he was not aware that they didn't have the results. I believe that they hoodwinked him, that they had some results. I believe they did, because they needed somebody to fund the whole election petition process, and President Mahama was going to be the chief financier in that regard. So they needed to convince President Mahama that they had something. So I'm not too sure whether President Mahama is to be thought of as part of the conspiracy that embarrassed Johnson Asiedu Nketia, for which reason people are calling him out right now. And I'll show you an article by Joy News where the National Media Commission boss, Yabudwa Yeboafo, former editor of The Graphic, is telling the Parliamentary Commission that Johnson Asiedu Nketia cannot be a member of the Parliamentary Service Board because of what he's done. This is Yabudwa Yeboafo. This is not the MPP's General Secretary. It's not the MPP's chairman. It's not an MPP member of Parliament. It's Yabudwa Yeboafo, the chairman of the National Media Commission, former editor of The Graphic. You see, I made the point the other day about electing radicals who are not able to convince anybody. Yabudwa Yeboafo right now believes that he's not a member of the NDC. If the NDC wants Asiedu Nketia to be their chairman, he has no qualms about it. But he's saying that for a national body like the Parliamentary Services Board, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, for the kinds of things he said, he cannot be a member of the Parliamentary Service Board. That's Yabudwa Yeboafo. I'll show you that as well. But now, to refresh your memory, here's Asiedu Nketia in the court.
From your own calculations, what were the valid votes cast in favor of the petitioner, to your knowledge? My Lord, one will discover this discrepancy. It was difficult to even know. So you don't know. You just answer. You don't know. I don't have them there. Okay, then the last one. What figures from your own calculations did the second respondent get as the total valid votes cast in his favor? My Lord, I don't have those figures here. Thank you. That's what.
Okay, so that's Johnson Asiedu Nkatia, who said he doesn't have it. And then later he is recorded in his campaign to be chairman, says that the NDC didn't have anything. He said they didn't have any results. And people are calling him out now. Opposition is asking him to apologize to the court. It was based on this matter that President Mahama said that there was unanimous FC. I'll get you that video as well. And then I'll say something about President Mahama at the end of this conversation. But let's get, so our key protagonist here is President John Dramani Mahama, the presumptive nominee for the National Democratic Congress's presidential slot for 2024. Johnson Asiedu Nkatia, the elected chairman of the National Democratic Congress, former General Secretary, Fifi Kwete, former Minister of Agriculture, and also former Deputy Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, but now, and former Propaganda Secretary of the NDC, but now the General Secretary of the party. These are three protagonists for the rest of the story. Okay, let's get Fifi Kwete's speech right now. Fifi Kwete said something on CTFM, and I'm going to read it to you. And it has to do with confirming that, in fact, the NDC did not have the results, and therefore, they really shouldn't have gone to court. Now, here it is. Okay. This Fifi Kwete is talking, speaking on City TV. He said, in 2008, we were able to collate our results. Now, I wish that you can put that on TV so viewers can read with me. I don't know why they don't like doing that these days. Yeah, correct. Okay. In 2008, we were able to collate our results very early, and therefore, we were able to establish beyond doubt that we had won the parliamentary, which of course we won in 2020, he added. Assuring the NDC of his commitment to supervising an effective coalition machinery in 2024, Fifi Kwete stated that those times that the party struggled to collate its results efficiently will be a thing of the past. In the next slide, it is reported that speaking on City TV, Fifi Kwete observed that the NDC could not collate its results in 2020 and reiterated that under his tenure as CEO of the party, such a thing will not happen. Now, can you imagine that? This is the General Secretary. Secretary of the National Democratic Congress saying that in the last few elections that we didn't do too well, our main problem was that we simply failed to collate our own results. In 2020, that was a massive issue. We simply could not do that, he said. Now, this is Fifi Kwete coming to confirm what Johnson Asiedu Nkatia said on the tape. Now, so Fifi Kwete is a General Secretary of the party. Now, he says that in 2020, they were not able to collate the results. He said, we could not collate, NDC could not collate its results in 2020. What shall we do with Johnson Asiedu Nkatia then? Should he be cited for perjury and contempt of the court because he lied under oath? And he still claims that he didn't lie under oath, that he went to the court and told the court that he didn't have results. He didn't tell the court that. He said he didn't bring it. He didn't say we don't have it. He said it's not here. That's what he told the court. The court asked him that, do you have your results? He said, I didn't bring it. And at that time, people were chastising him that, you are going to court. The most important thing, you didn't bring it. So it wasn't that he didn't bring it. He actually lied. He didn't have it. He didn't have it. Nobody had it. And he was complaining and blaming Ofosu Ampofo for it. Okay, let's assume that that is still his word against Ofosu Ampofo's word. Now Fifi Kwete comes to confirm. He says in 2020, he says, speaking on City TV, Fifi Kwete observed that the NDC could not collate its results in 2020 and reiterated that under his tenure as CEO of the party, such a thing will not happen. He goes on to say that, and his quotation begins, in the last few days, the last few elections that we didn't do too well, our main problem was that we simply failed to collate our own results. In 2020, that was a massive issue. Fifi Kwete says they failed. to collate their own results. Is it now time for Johnson Asiedu Nketia to say something to the court? Is it now time for President Mahama to review his unanimous FC speech? For me, as a political news reporter, this is very critical because you see, the difference between Ghana and the other West African countries over the last 20 years is being the sanctity and the sacrosanct outcome of our elections and the acceptability of the election results. That's what threw Cote d'Ivoire into civil war. That's what threw Liberia into civil war. Now, I was in Cote d'Ivoire, and some of you already know. I interviewed President Gbagbo when he was hiding in his bunker in the heat of the 2011 crisis. And the fundamental issue about the Ivorian situation was that he, President Gbagbo, and Alhassan Ouattara, as he then was candidate of the opposition, both of them could not agree on the sanctity of the declaration of the election results. So guess what happened in Cote d'Ivoire? The Electoral Commission declared the results in favor of Laurent Gbagbo. And then the United Nations Coalition Center in Abidjan declared the results in favor of Alassane Ouattara. That's what happened, and that threw Ivory Coast into a civil war. In Liberia, it was widely believed that Samuel Doe had been defeated in the election and that he had metamorphosed it and he had become president in an election that he didn't win. That's what set up the rebels leader, Charles Taylor, the MPFL, to start their rebel activity from Cote d'Ivoire into Abidjan. That cost a lot of death. A lot of our soldiers. I grew up in Burma camp. I know soldiers who went on Gambat 1 in Ekomok who didn't come back. They were my friends' fathers. They went in Gambat 1. They didn't come back. So when I became a reporter, I focused on elections. And in 2000 elections, I was all over in the place. Both NDC and NPP will tell you. I was around ballot boxes, and sometimes my editor would tell me that your job is not the ballot box, just report. And I said, no, they are putting things in the ballot box. I need to stop it. And I personally carried the ballot box from Palm Wine Junction to Laboni Secondary School in the company of police officers because they didn't have a car. So my news reporter's car, branded with media, everything, is what carried one of the ballot boxes, two I think, of the ballot boxes from Palm Wine Junction through Labadi Wireless to Laboni Secondary School, the counting center. Because I noticed that some people wanted that ballot box to be left at Palm Wine Junction when the team goes so they can do their stuff. I said, no, I'm taking it. Police, you are going with me with this ballot box over there. That's my own personal thing. But that's because I recognize what elections can do. So I'm very concerned about these kinds of conduct where you have failed to collate your results. Now, the reason why we use the word failed is that the resources had been provided to all political parties by the taxpayer for the collation of the results. So taxpayer has paid because the Electoral Commission goes to Parliament with a budget and Parliament approves that budget. So Electoral Commission's budget has all the itemized bill, including distribution of pink sheets to political parties who are at present. So those pink sheets that the Electoral Commission hands over to political parties is paid for by the taxpayer. Every political party is expected to receive the same thing. All political parties can collate their results. So the Supreme Court asked Asiedu Nketia, didn't you have people there? He said, we did. He said, okay, so where are your results? He said, my lord, I didn't bring it. He was lying. Fifth Equity says, in 2000, in 2020, Fifth Equity said that the NDC could not collate its result in 2020 and reiterated that under his tenure as CEO of the party, such a thing will not happen. Okay, producer, please get me back the speech you gave me, President Mahama's speech of unanimous FC. I'll come to it in a bit. But now give me Yabuedua Yeboah for National Media Commission. Please put it there and then let's deal with it. Let's deal with it. So we see the seriousness of this matter. Until Johnson Asiedu Nketia, the chairman of the NDC, says something about this, it will be hanging over him for a very long time. And as we approach elections, the NDC will have to continue promising that they will be able to collate results. Because without that, you have, I mean, this is so irresponsible, isn't it? You have your supporters who queue to come and elect President Mahama. They vote. You don't tabulate their vote. Taxpayer has paid for you to receive it. You don't receive it. You sleep on it. You are asleep as a general secretary. Then you come to court and come and misbehave. And then you go and say that the Supreme Court has cheated me. I mean, really? I can understand how some Ghanaians are completely outraged about this Asiedu Nketia matter. And some of them are not MPP people. They don't even care about MPP. But they think that this is wrong for the country. And that is why Yabuedua Yeboah is saying what he's saying. He's the chairman of National Media Commission. Let's see what he says. It's here. I'll read it. Put it on the screen. So, Yabuedua Yeboah says, if somebody holding political office cannot be a member of a commission, how can somebody leading a political party advise the speaker, which is supposed to demonstrate objectively and neutrality on the highest sense? Ayeboafo said while speaking at an event, Asiedu Nketia has served on the board since 2021 after his appointment alongside former New Patriotic Party MPP member Abraham Oseidu as Speaker of Parliament's nominees to the parliamentary board. Let's see the next page. Okay. The majority leader Osei Mensah Bonsu, the minority leader Haruna Idrisu, and the clerk of parliament Cyril Insian are the members with the speaker's chair. However, after beating Samuel Ofusu-Ampofo to become national chairman of the NDC, Ayeboafo said the time has come for Johnson Asiedu Nketia to step down the Parliamentary Services Commission. Okay, let me know when you get the video. So this is the story. Let me have back the photographs of the three men over there. Let me have the photographs of the three men. Yes, Fifi Kwete, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, and President Mahama. I'm going to say something about President Mahama. Before then, though, let's show President Mahama's video where he was talking about Unanimous FC. Let's see it.
Recently, so badly has the image of our judiciary deteriorated that many of our citizens openly make mockery of our justice system and of our justices. The phrase, "go to court," is these days met with derisive laughter instead of hope that one will truly get justice if he went to the courts. If people are not poking fun about politics and inducements being used to sway the hand of justice in the lower courts, then it is poking fun and making statements about the 7-0 of the Unanimous FC. One of the scariest existential threats to any democracy is when citizens think their judiciary holds no value for them or no use to them. And this is the security threat that the national security apparatus tried to draw the attention of the nation to recently, but was poorly received by the president and his party. It is scary because it threatens the peace and stability of our democracy, and we must quickly correct this fast-spreading notion. If care is not taken, we'll get to a stage where people will have no qualms about taking the law into their own hands, because they do not have the confidence that they can get any justice from the system. There is therefore the urgent need for the Ghanaian judiciary to work to win the trust and confidence of the citizenry and erase the widely held perception of hostility and political bias in legal proceedings at the highest courts of the land. Unfortunately, we have no hope that the current leadership of our judiciary can lead such a process of change. We can only hope that a new Chief Justice will lead a process to repair the broken image that our judiciary has acquired over the last few years. It is therefore worrying that there remains deep-seated perceptions that institutions like the General Legal Council exist to intimidate lawyers who are critics of this government and deprive qualified students from studying for professional law certificates. How do you raise confident, independent, and creative lawyers with a focus on problem solving when during their training you tie their hands behind their back and suggest that they learn to accept oppressive rules without contest? In addition to this is the inexplicable ambivalence of the government and the government-controlled General Legal Council to meaningfully expand access to legal education. NDC stands by its promise ahead of the 2020 elections that it will do all that is possible to expand access to professional legal education and ensure that all who are qualified and aspire to become members of the bar are able to do so.
Okay, whilst I talk about that, let me inform production that get me the photograph of Prophet Gideon Danso. It's his birthday today. I like to talk about that man. Very, very important person to me. Prophet Gideon Danso's photograph. Get it? All right. We'll talk about that later. They'll tell me when they have the photograph. Okay, so that was President Mahama speaking. Now, this is my point. I believe that President Mahama was not told the truth. I sincerely believe that. Now, I don't know whether you have a photograph of Asiedu Nketia alone. You can put him on. I need to talk about him because I'm guessing that Johnson Asiedu Nketia, the chairman of the party, at the time General Secretary, as he then was, created an impression for President Mahama that they actually had something. I sincerely believe that President Mahama, given all his political background, will not be aware that the NDC had nothing and would throw himself in it in that manner. Up to the time that he read this speech, which was about a year after the election petition. Was it a year? No, maybe a few months after the election petition. Up to the time that he read that speech. Because this speech is read in 2022. Election petition ended in January 2023. So more than a year, actually, of the election petition, President Mahama speaks that way. Because President Mahama is not told the truth. He hasn't been told the truth. President Mahama may now be learning the truth the same way we are learning it. Because President Mahama is a very decent politician. Those who have known him from Parliament know the kinds of things he does. Yes, he's a clever politician, he's a vote winner and all of that. But he has a certain sense of, fairness when it comes to election results. And that's why his concession in 2016 was so quickly done. But in 2020, he was told by Johnson Asiedu Nketia that he, President Mahama, had actually won the election and that the election had been stolen from him. Johnson Asiedu Nketia said these things to President Mahama when he was aware that they don't have the results to be able to make that conclusion. They didn't have it. It's not that they had it, or it's not that they won or they lost, but the most ridiculous of it, the dereliction of duty, is that Johnson Asiedu Nketia did not have any results to be able to say that they are right or he didn't have it. So when they went to Mr. Chikata, you heard what he said. Mr. Chikata said, hey, this is your thing. It won't go anywhere. Let me go to court and do the lawyer's work. This one, you don't have any work. You don't have any evidence. Then Rojo Metilunu came. That's why Rojo Metilunu was talking about biscuits. Because he didn't have anything to say. That's why he was talking. I was in the room. I left my key. I said, I'm going to President Mahama's house. I came back. They had locked the door. I didn't find my laptop. And they declared results. That kind of talk, that's kindergarten kind of talk. You will do kindergarten talk even if you are as clever as Rojo is. And Rojo is very clever. I know him. Rojo is very clever. But clever Rojo was reduced to kindergarten talk because of Asiedu Nketia's lies. That's what it is. His poor representation to his president, his candidate, President Mahama, and his poor representation to his party, after which he blames Ofusampo for 2 years down the line. Then they didn't have results for that reason. So I want to make that point very strong, that knowing what I know about President Mahama, I believe that Johnson Asiedu Nketia had told him, misrepresented the matter to him, told President Mahama that you don't have to concede, you have won the election. Well, let's go to court, knowing that there was nothing to go to court. Now, why would he do that? Because he needed funding. I'm guessing. He needed funding because somebody must fund the election petition process. So President Mahama will be able to do that because about him. He is the flag bearer, and if the election petition goes the other way, President Mahama will be the president. He will be the winner of the election petition, and the Supreme Court might hold that in the alternative, President Mahama should be declared the winner. That's one of the possible outcomes of an election petition. There are only 2 or 3 outcomes of an election petition: rerun the election, change the winner, affirm the old announced winner. So there are 3 outcomes, like football: win, draw, and lose. So election petition, you go in, the winner could be changed. They could ask for a rerun in some parts of the country or the whole part, or they could affirm the declaration of the Electoral Commission. In both election petitions that we have had, the winner was affirmed. In the last one, it was a unanimous decision by the court. In the first one, it wasn't. And that is how come the court came to a conclusion so easily. And that's why it was unanimous, because the NDC had nothing. So if you come to court with nothing, it is very easy for the judges to dismiss the application. And that's what happened. And then once that happened, the same Johnson Asiedu Nketia goes to tell President Mahama that they are cheating you. And then he tells his supporters, if I were his supporter, I'll be more outraged than the MPP people because I stood in the line in Abekan La Paz, in Nkwanta, in Gumpugu Yoyo, in Sunyane, in Tra, Kintampo, in Kranza, Kumasi, Ejoso, Kwamo. They stood all over the place, voted for President Mahama and then DC candidate. All you needed to do was to tell them the quantum of their votes. Johnson Asiedu Nketia couldn't do it. Fifi Kwete is promising us today that that will not happen again. Thank God. Thank heavens that will not happen again. But Johnson Asiedu Nketia's caliber, either he must repent, or we don't want his caliber in political leadership. It's disturbing our Fourth Republic. We don't want people like that. We want NDC, we want MPP, we want CPP, we want whichever party that can win. But we don't want the character of Johnson Asiedu Nketia, which is to misrepresent very, very important facts and to joke with it. Go to court and, what do you have? My Lord, I don't have anything. Please play the video again. Play the video again. Let them see it. Play the video again. Johnson Asiedu Nketia in court. Play it again.
From your own calculations, what were the valid votes cast in favor of the petitioner, to your knowledge? My Lord, one would discover this discrepancy. It was difficult to even know. So you don't know. You just answer. You don't know. I don't have them there. Okay. Then the last one. What figures from your own calculations did the second respondent get as the total valid votes cast in his favor? My Lord, I don't have those figures here. Thank you. That's all.
You heard Johnson Asiedu Nketia. He said, I don't have them here. As if he has them somewhere. He should have told the court that, my Lord, unfortunately, we don't have it. That will be truthful. But that will be wasting the court's time. He has sworn under oath. So I'd like to conclude this short narrative by emphasizing that knowing what I know of President Mahama, and I do know President Mahama even better than some of his own people, and that's a matter of fact. We can talk about that another day. But knowing what I know of President Mahama, he would never follow the NDC to court when he is sure that the NDC didn't have results. He would never do that. Johnson Asiedu Nketia might have represented it to him, misrepresent, and is still misrepresenting till today. I said that's why John Mahama will support him for the national chairmanship, because today Johnson Asiedu Nketia is still misrepresenting, telling John Mahama that you won the election, you won it. Look at Parliament, but the way Parliament was the same presidential, you won it. He doesn't tell John Mahama that in spite of all the money you paid for election 2020, I was not able to put a coalition together, which would have meant him dismissed. In fact, if I'm President Mahama, if you are President Mahama, a candidate for election where you could win, you are losing by marginally, you could win the election, you are former president, and your general secretary comes and tells you that, oh, Mr. President, I'm sorry, we couldn't do the results, we don't have the results. I'm sure you beat him up. If he stands in front of you 48 hours after the election, he comes and says, General Secretary, what do you have? Now, I've been in that kind of situation. In 2012, I think I was around President Mahama when he was being told that he had won the election. I've been with President Akufo-Addo. I've been with President Kufuor in 2001 when he was told. Now, in those days, 24 hours, 48 hours after the election and the counting is going on, you walk into the presidential candidate space. The first thing he's asking you is that, what do you have? And they get very brutal about that. If you've been with them, they get very brutal about it. They are different people because this is their life. This is what they've been campaigning for the last 6 months. Some of them, their health has taken a suffering on it. Their family is taking a suffering. And on the day, D-Day, you come in, where are the results? You put your hand and say, Mr. President, we didn't have it. Sometimes I sympathize as Nketia. Maybe there will be a strong temptation for you to lie. I mean, I can understand that. Because, Charlie, the guy has campaigned. He spent millions of dollars. Are you going to tell him that I didn't collect results? Not many people can do that. And not many people have that courage. I can understand it. So, I mean, when the man comes and said, I said, what do we have? You have to tell him that, oh, Mr. President, we won, oh, but they are cheating us. MPP is stealing the thing. That's what he said. That's most likely what he said. I want President Mahama's photograph. That's most likely what he said. That's what he told President Mahama. That's what he said. Now, this is an interesting photograph. Yeah, so this is President Mahama here. You see how he's eager looking at the results. You see how eager he is checking out the, oh, what is this? You see how eager he is checking out the results? Yes, this is the kind of mood he will be in 48 hours after the process. And then Asiedu Nketia comes to tell him that you have won the election. Because Asiedu Nketia is not able to own up to President Mahama that, Mr. President, I faulted. Because he can't say sorry. That sorry is such an expensive sorry, that if you deliver that sorry, you might end up with a slap. So nobody's going to say that in front of a presidential candidate. You can understand Asiedu Nketia, but don't carry it on and carry on the whole nation and carry everybody to court, mislead everybody, and then 2 years down the line, you are blaming Ofosu Ampofo that you didn't have results. I'll end here. I sincerely believe that President Mahama is also now finding out. He's now finding out, like we are all finding out, that the people had misled him. Unfortunately, he has backed Asiedu Nketia to be chairman of the party already. But fortunately, Fifi Kwete is saying that with him, that will not happen. I believe Fifi Kwete. I believe him. So we can believe that that won't happen. But that kind of characterization, misrepresentation, the things that Asiedu Nketia represents, we should eschew that from our political system. If we are serious as a country and want to go forward, this joking, laughing, and just dereliction of duty and just walking around as if you don't have a care in life when you're a leader of a political party, and you need to have fidelity to data. You need to have fidelity to truth. You can't do that. And we don't want anybody to do that. Whether you're MPP or NDC, we don't want that in our Fourth Republic. Asiedu Nketia is a canker to the Fourth Republic. Okay, all right, I end there. Let's have Gideon Danso's photograph. Let's have Gideon Danso's photograph there. Give me Gideon Danso's photograph. They did it before. Oh, this is Mahamudu Bawumia. They're going to give me Gideon Danso's photograph. All right, so it's now my pleasure to talk about this man. 40 years old today, I'm being told, Prophet Gideon Danso of Empowerment Ministry. Now, this guy came in to the charismatic situation and he completely changed everything. Prophet Gideon completely changed everything. He set up a church at a time that people thought there were too many churches. People thought we are tired of churches and that you can't set up church at this time. Empowerment is flying. And what I like about Gideon is that he is a young man with an 80-year-old brain. I mean, he may be 40 today, but if you talk to him, he's 80 years old in his brain. And we like to say that God bless you, Prophet Gideon. It's exciting to know that you have hit the big 40. It's exciting to know that you are leading empowerment in the way that it should be led. It's exciting that you are a fantastic addition to the charismatic movement in Ghana. We celebrate Prophet Gideon on the occasion of his birthday. Let me take a few text messages, and from there we go straight to Nigeria, where Al-Hassan Bello has the latest. Text messages now. You're ready.
Alidu Umar from the University of Education, Winneba says, Paul, don't you know that anytime Dr. Digital Bawumia picture is projected on national television, it hurt the NDC sympathizers a lot? To me, I think there will be no economist in NDC that can be compared to Dr. Digital Bawumia, not only in Ghana, but in West Africa in general. In fact, he is sizeless and matchless when it comes to economic ideas in Ghana. Alidu Umar from the University of Education, Winneba. Coming from Raymond Azuda, he says, good evening, Paul. In fact, you do all. I enjoy your show live from Bongo. The Vice President has done it again. He is indeed an asset for Ghana come 2024. Hashtag break the 8. And then lastly from Alidu Umar again, he says, Paul, I don't know why you didn't talk about some pictures of money circulating on social media, allegedly to be coming from Asiedu Nketia during the internal election recently. So, I want to find out whether you have any information about it. Alidu Umar from the University of Education. Over to you.
Okay. Master Paul Planner. Ex-President Mahama has forgotten that he was the coach of the Anonymous FC in 2012 when they scored 5-4 against Dr. Bawumia FC. Today, because he's been sacked as the coach for Anonymous FC, he is accusing them for scoring 7-0. Hypocrisy at its highest. Michael Anansi says, hi Paul, it's unfortunate our leaders are not thinking of investing in agribusiness to create more jobs, generate revenue for development, but rather taxing everything including sanitary pads. Oh Ghana, Lord have mercy. Paul, you are really doing a great work. You are rendering a quality service to our country. Ata Edusei, Ernest Edusei. Over to you.
Coming through from Alidu Umar once again, he says, Paul, looking at what happened today between the finance minister and organized labor, don't you think it will affect the IMF negotiations negatively? I need an answer, please, from Alidu UEW. Nanayao says, Paul, building roads and schools is good, but a 10-year-old child can do just that if he becomes a leader. But this from Dr. Bawumia is what we call thinking outside the box. That is a fantastic mind at work. Great job, NPP and Bawumia, for this initiative. Lastly, from Dominic Appiah. Apostle Paul, you are a great teacher. I learn something new anytime I listen to you. Thank you very much. Over to you, Angelo.
It says, writing from Columbus, Ohio, America. Please, good evening to you all. I love you all. Anything you undertake with God's spearheading ends well. Bravo. Dr. Bawa Adoshoboy and Ken Ofiriata, right? And Alidu Umar again says, Paul, these revelations coming from the NDC guru should not be swept under the carpet. Let me assure you that if the Attorney General, Godfrey Dame, failed to drag Asedu Nketia to court by the end of next week, I, a leader, will sue the Attorney General, inshallah. Right. And lastly, Bennett Danso says, Paul Adam Autry, the current crop of leadership of the NDC should tell us what alternative solutions they have and not tell us that they'll put their lives on the line to win elections for their party. Winning an election is not about radicalism and aggressiveness. It's a matter of putting further and better alternatives on the table for Ghanaians to weigh the options and decide at the 2024 polls. Desmond Owusu-Mensah says the barter system existed a long time ago, but never seen in our early days until DMB came into the scene. God bless you, Paul, from your enlightenment, and God bless DMB too. Akoto Manuel says, oh, Paul, what a great choir, too good. I will hire them to Columbus, Ohio for the next Christmas. Now, Baba Seydou Gisaka says, the General Secretary of the NDC must apologize to the good people of this country. Great. Anita Adai Inti says, Merry Christmas, my Kumerika brother and your family. And lastly, Pa Jr. says, Paul Adam Autry, a.k.a. Apietus in the mix. Back to you, Paul, if you're ready. Oh, okay.
Good move. There is a sense of economies of scale in it. No rip-offs, however. Nana Kwame Opoko, Angelo, you have a question. Someone is asking of the name of the fair lady in the middle. He says, Michelangelo Saba, what's the name of the lady in the middle? She's very beautiful.
It's unpredictable for now.
So she's carrying. And then coming from Nick Zone is Sean, he says, hello, Paul. I hope you will not respond to that braggart in US who claims to be the master of everything but master of none. Insults does not elevate anyone. He can do the intellectual analysis you do, so he would rather attack your personality to make his viewers happy. Stay safe. We love you loads. And then Ken Majesty Mensah says, there is no doubt that your program have grown to become one of the most educative program in our modern Ghanaian society. May God bless you and your team. Enjoy the Xmas.
Okay, so Bello is still getting himself ready, but we are ready. We're ready. So he has interesting analysis. Now, this is the first time we're going to get back into the Nigerian election. It's something that we want to bring to our viewers so our viewers can completely understand. Nigeria is having an election that promises to be could be different. Is that the election to change Nigeria's power dynamics? It could. You know, the Nigerian power dynamics swings between the north, the powerful north, and then the southeast, correct?
Yeah.
The Yoruba land
southwest.
Southwest is Yoruba land. Now, he has a poll that we're going to interrogate what the poll says. But the election is how many months away?
About 2 months or so, because it's happening in February.
Yeah.
Probably 3 months.
Bello will later on become the mayor of Sokoto one day, I believe that. But for now, he's an analyst. Okay. Welcome, Alhassan Bello. So who are these?
These are the candidates. This is Bola Tinubu, running for APC.
Front runner of the election?
Yeah, for APC. And then you have Atiku Abubakar from PDP.
The other front runner?
Yeah. But then
the dark horses are these two?
Yeah, these are these two. And then per opinion polls.
Okay, let's say a bit about Peter Obi. Where is he coming from?
He's from the north, southeast.
Yes, that's his tribal base. This Igbo?
Yeah, Igbo.
Okay.
From the eastern part of the country.
Yeah, so let's look at the recent history. Has an Igbo run since Ojuku's effort at taking the Igbos out of Nigeria? Has an Igbo run for national presidency?
No, we had Igbo vice president under Shehu Shagari.
What's his name?
I can't remember his exact name.
So the one who won...
But then prior to that...
Shagari's support base was in the north, fundamentally.
In the north, yeah.
And he got an Igbo running mate who he won the election with. Okay, so go on.
And then, but prior to that, you know, at Independent, we're having this parliamentary system. So the Igbo was a president, which is Nnamdi Azikiwe. And likewise, Igbo was a speaker of the Senate. And that was one of the reasons why...
Okay, so the three founding fathers, as they say in Nigeria, Tafawa Balewa was from where?
From the north.
Nnamdi Azikiwe
from the east, and then
the other one was what?
Awolowo. No, Awolowo.
Yes.
But the issue with Tafawa Balewa.
Awolowo was Yoruba.
Yoruba from the southwest.
Okay, and Tafawa Balewa was from the north.
Yeah, from the north.
And Azikiwe
from the
Nnamdi
east.
Zik.
But the
very solid intellectual.
But the controversy of Tafawa Balewa was that he's actually a subordinate to Sardauna Ahmadu Bello.
Yes.
Who was actually the leader of the Northern People's Congress. He should have been the prime minister. But he refused to take the premiership position. So on paper, whilst Tafawa Balewa was the prime minister, people still question his leadership, that he has to defer to his leader.
Okay, which is okay. Which is okay.
And that was one of the things that people thought also made the government very ineffective.
Okay, so let's do a quick history. So that was the three founding fathers who led the Nigeria until 1965. It was when the coup occurred.
Yeah, 66.
66 when the coup occurred. Sure. Okay. So after the coup, the military came in. The military were in until Shagari. Shagari is 1980.
Yeah, no, yeah, the military.
So from 66 to 80 was military rule.
No, from Shagari was. No, you had 79, 80.
Well, September 79.
That was military rule. That was Yakubu,
so military rule from 66.
Murtala Obasanjo then.
No, so Yakubu Gowon started.
Yeah.
Then Mohamed Murtala came in.
Yeah, and then
Obasanjo. Yeah. Gowon was in there somewhere. Gowon was the head of state when the civil war came.
Yeah, you know there was
in the early 70s.
There were two coups in that year. The first coup was in January 15, 1966, and the second coup was in July 28, 1966. After the North felt that. What do you call it?
Their coup was before our coup. Our coup was 24th February 66.
But there were two coups within the year.
Yeah, I know, but their coup came before ours.
That was January 15th, the first coup.
Then ours came in February. Then they had another coup.
Yeah, in July 28. That was a counter coup when the North came back. And that was what led to the civil war.
So the original coup was a Yoruba coup, Igbo Yoruba coup?
It was largely led by Igbo, middle-ranking officers.
Including people like Ojukwu?
Not Ojukwu.
Okay.
Nzegu Kaduna, and then a couple of them like that. Victor Banjo from the south.
Why did the Igbos think they needed to overthrow the if you like, the tripartite leadership that had been created for Nigeria after independence?
Well, I don't know whether it is a deliberate.
Did they feel that they had been sidestepped, even though Azikiwe was their man?
But see,
that's NCNC, isn't it?
NCNC. Yeah. But you see, the issue with Nigeria at the time was that you had a singular north, and then the south were divided into two, where you have the southwest under Awolowo AG. And then you had the southeast and the NCNC. But then, you know, there was this election in 66 that the military felt was rigged, where the Tafawa Balewa government carved the Midwest under Dennis Osadibe. And then they had to jail Awolowo when they felt it was...
Yes, Awolowo was jailed for corruption.
No, he was jailed for colluding with Nkrumah to destabilize the country.
Nigeria, yeah.
And then, what do you call it? Samuel Akintola was favored by Tafawa Balewa, and there was this argument that he rigged the election in favor of Akintola in the southwest. And there was a crisis in the southwest, Operation Wetier, where there was this dispute between Akintola's faction.
But Nnamdi Azikiwe had been close to Nkrumah. He had studied in Ghana.
Sure.
And he had been Nkrumah's friend. Yeah. Nkrumah had not been on very good terms with Tafawa Balewa. Yeah. He wrote about him, and he wasn't happy that Nigeria hosted the Commonwealth Conference, I believe, of 1962. Nkrumah refused to attend the Commonwealth event and wrote a stinker to the British Prime Minister. I'll give you the documents. I'm preparing it for Ghana Month, where we'll show a lot of the memo that Nkrumah wrote to his secretary about how he was unhappy with Nigeria and that Ghana was not going to attend the Commonwealth Conference. That was a big tension between Nkrumah and some of the Nigerians. That would be because he was not happy with the way Azikiwe had been treated, on the basis that he was working with Azikiwe, which could have been true, really, with the benefits of hindsight. It could have been true because Nkrumah was looking to have Nigeria agree with the African Union policy. Nigeria was taking too long to come onto that one.
But I think Nkrumah failed to understand the reality. And you have a coalition government, whereby each party has to agree. Either of the party has to agree before the government can take a definite position
on the African unity.
On African
unity. Nkrumah thought they were wasting time.
But then you see, it was also ideological. Azikiwe was a nationalist and probably a Pan-Africanist, for that matter, Azikism. But then the strongest party in the coalition, the Northern People's Congress, is very conservative because it's headed by people of blue blood. Mind you, Ahmadu Bello is a descendant of Osman Danfodio.
Danfodio is the name I was looking for. Bello is a direct descendant of Osman Danfodio.
So he's a full-blooded, like royal, like a full. So he was also very traditional, having been raised through the Sokoto Native Council, the indirect rule. So he was not trying to modernize even the northern part too quick because he doesn't want to disrupt the traditional power structure. So there was also that tension. And then Awolowo, being a socialist, was more closer to Nkrumah, even though he was not a Marxist per se. So there was this tension between Tafawa Balewa being suspicious, and then Nkrumah also feeling, no, we need to move fast due to the size of Nigeria, and West Africa. Even after Nigeria had about a 60 million population, so it was still very influential. But you see, the coup itself was led largely by Igbo officers, and then when the victims were being counted, the North lost more people. And whether by coalition or by design, I don't know whether it's deliberate or not. But then the winners of the coup, the outcome, favored the Igbos. Because why should the coup be plotted when Azikiwe was not in the country, being the president? And if you are trying to overthrow the government, the Yorubas lost Akintola,
He was killed.
He was killed. Even Awolowo was released, so that was quite very dicey. The North lost Tafawa Balewa and they lost Amadu Bello.
Bello was killed in that coup.
And then the mid-belt.
Tafawa Balewa was killed in that coup.
He was killed in that coup. And then the mid-belt lost Okotie-Eboh.
Okotie-Eboh was a very rich man.
Who was a minister
for Labor.
He was Minister of Finance. He was
Festus Okotie-Eboh.
He was even seen to be more stronger, more influential than Azikiwe in his own party because he was financing.
But Festus was thought to be the wheeler and dealer in corrupt practices in Nigeria. And for a documentary I watched, it's believed that the entire corruption stigma against Nigeria began with the activities of Festus Okotie-Eboh, who was particularly wealthy, even in those days.
But then the question is, in the structure of power, where in the absence of, what do you call it, Azikiwe, the next highest authority is the Senate president, who was an Igbo man, for Urinzu. So if you are eliminating everybody in government, why was Urinzu spared?
So the North reacted?
The North reacted. The North was even patient for 6 months. Let's be very objective. The first coup was in July. The counter coup, the first coup was in January. The counter coup was in July. As I say, whether by design or consideration or collusion, the benefactors of the coup, the benefit will have gone to the Igbos. And then there was technically 3 coups in that year. Because the duty of the military is to aid civil authority. So, you don't see ousting the government itself was equally a coup d'etat.
Yeah, it was.
Because Dip Bukar Dana, Dip Charima, was chosen by the MPC to be a replacement for the premiership. But then,
so let's move on and talk about the second coup came and it was established and it was there until 1969?
Yeah.
This was Gowon's coup?
No, the coup actually was led by Murtala Mohammed. But then, per the ranking, Brigadier Babafemi should have been the, what do you call
leader of the coup.
The leader. No, the leader of the country, per military ranking. But then they not felt that having given Ironsi the chance, and he failed to prosecute the coup plotters, they couldn't trust Saudina. And he was a Saudin officer from the southwest. So what did they do? They chose to elect or appoint the highest northern officer, who was Gowon and not Murtala Mohammed, to replace Ironsi. But then, Ojukwu and Gowon were of the same rank.
I see.
So Ojukwu felt there was no way he could take orders from Gowon.
If Gowon became the head of state?
If Gowon became the head of state. That was one side.
Because he was his mate.
He was his mate. And he was more educated.
From Oxford?
Yeah, than Gowon.
Yeah.
So he felt that the right thing should be done. That Babafemi Ogundipe.
Is it not impressive that Nigerian had an Oxford-trained officer in the 1960s in the military?
There's this...
The Military Academy of Nigeria had recruited an
there's this
Oxford-trained scholar who at that time of the world, had the world was his oyster. He could work anywhere in the world. He decided to work in the Nigerian military, go to military academy. That's very impressive of Ojukwu. I really like his nationalist concept.
He went to them actually to revolt against his father's wish. His father wanted to be in business because the father was a businessman.
Yeah.
But he wanted to revolt against the father. So,
but he wanted to be a nationalist. He wanted to be a soldier.
He actually joined as an NCO.
Oh, I see.
It took the intervention of his commanding officer, British. The guy was quite...
He was very clever. So they brought him
up. So he investigated. But then, so when it happened that way, so Gowon was brought, first of all, because he was a senior most northern officer, and secondly, the country was divided. You need to bridge the gap. So being a northern,
so Gowon came in 1966 and led the country until Ojukwu tried to break away.
Gowon was a northern Christian. That's why he was appointed.
Yes, he was a northern Christian, not a Muslim.
Yeah,
Yakubu Gowon is his name.
Yeah, he's a northern,
but he's a Christian.
Yeah,
so he kept Yakubu. He's not Peter or
most
Paul
of the Christians
or John
in the northern part of the country.
They keep the northern names.
They have the northern names.
Okay,
so he was also partially appeasing to the south.
Okay, that's why he probably was successful in the period that he was.
But then there was this belief that Murtala never accepted that verdict. So when he had his chance, he plotted.
Was it Murtala who came after Gowon?
Yeah.
He took over from Gowon after the Civil War.
Yeah.
And then Murtala was killed by assassination in the Lagos Go-Slow when he was shot in his car.
Sure.
Then Obasanjo came in.
Okay,
so you had Gowon, Murtala, Obasanjo, all the way until Shagari.
Shagari came in.
That was a long Nigerian military rule in those days.
Sure.
Okay, so from Shagari, then again, Shagari was there for 2 years. Then came Buhari.
He served his first term. But in his second term, the election was rigged and Buhari ousted him.
So he won a second term and it was believed that it was rigged.
And then
that somebody else should have won. Then Buhari, on the basis of the allegations that the election was rigged, came in 1983, I think it was.
But then there was also a deep...
So after Buhari, then there was Babangida.
Who was
then there was Buhari. Abacha.
No, there was Shonekong, who was supposed to be an interim president.
And Shonekong was after Abacha.
Shonekong was after Babangida.
So you know what they say in Nigeria. Shonekong was, and Shonikan was really after Moshood Abiola. Yeah. That's how they put it. I'm sure you understand that. Because everyone believes that Abiola won the election.
And then Babangida
refused to accept it. Then they slotted in
interim government. So Abacha was supposed to guard the government, and Abacha came outside the government.
So after Buhari in 1983, they didn't get democracy until Obasanjo was elected president in 1999. That's many years of military rule in Nigeria. So that accounts for the strong position of the military even today, isn't it?
Probably so, yeah. I think the longevity.
So Peter Obi was with which party?
Peter Obi was with PDP.
And he left?
No, it was Atiku's running mate in the 2019 election, actually.
Okay, why did he leave PDP? He wanted to be the leader of PDP?
I think he said there was this agreement, I don't know, maybe he felt he felt that there should be proper election without zoning, but he felt the condition going to the primaries would have favored Atiku.
Yes, obviously it was. So he wanted a certain zonal to make the Igbo man the leader. He didn't get it and he went abroad. Yeah. Why is he getting so popular? Is he saying something the youth like?
Well, yeah, let's look at what brought Buhari into power in 2015. It was the vote from the youth. He's also riding on the same platform. I haven't seen Buhari has failed. Per his own argument that APC has failed. So try something new. In a second, there's another factor, the NSAS factor. It's also another factor that
very important factor.
Denting, what do you call it?
But the thing with NSAS is that Buhari is also on the ballot. Was Bola Tinubu, has he been fingered for something around NSAS?
Sure. There's this allegation that he has a stake in the Lekki toll booth that was managing the toll company. Managing the toll booth in Lekki.
The one that broke out the NSAS situation. Yeah, no. The misbehavior of the people.
No. The NSAS was orchestrated by this special anti-robbery squad and their harassment of the youth.
Was it not something that occurred at the toll booth?
But you see, the youth gathered at the toll booth. That was the heart of the protest itself. Yeah. Does this believe that allegedly that he has a stake
in that toll, collecting the money? Yeah.
So long as the youth are there, he's being shortchanged. So he has to activate the military. That's his own blame.
Was he able to? But he was a nobody. He's not a governor. He was nothing. How is he able to activate the military?
Well,
because the military take instructions from Bola Tinubu?
There was this panel that was constituted. But prior to that, before even the panel was constituted, there was this allegation that who gave the order, and the Lagos State governor said he's not aware of who gave the order. So there's a question of who is responsible for the order.
But will the police in Lagos take instructions from the former mayor? Well, former governor?
On paper, Tinubu is not powerful in Lagos. But
so why do people think he was responsible for that?
Everybody knows the power behind Lagos.
Which is what?
Tinubu is in charge of Lagos.
Till today?
He was seated Ambode to replace Ambode with his own candidate somewhere.
Yes, he did. But does it mean that the police can take formal instructions from him?
Well, he could use influence behind the scene.
Get other people to get it to happen.
So if you could unseat Ambode, what shows that he could unseat Sanwo-Olu? So you have to do his bidding.
Okay, so it was widely believed that. So this NSAS thing is fighting Tinubu's fortunes in this election.
Fortunes in this election.
Okay.
But in the election...
Metro TV. Insightful and inspiring moments.